What's going on, ladies, gents, and kids of all ages? It is Eric coming back at you once again from the Nerd Cave, and today, you may have guessed it, we are talking about another very awesome deck list. However, today's video is special because it is sponsored by CardTrader.com. If you want to check out another place to buy singles and take advantage of their Card Trader Pro service, in which you can get all of your items shipped to them and they ship them all together to you in one convenient order. It is well worth checking out. Card Trader Pro is entirely free, and we do have a coupon code. I'll put a link in the description, not only to Card Trader but to our coupon code. We do earn a small commission off anything you buy if you are using our coupon code and our affiliate link, so please keep that in mind if you want it. It's a great way to support the channel and get yourself some singles, sometimes cheaper than English singles. They're still going to be English cards, but you're going to be ordering them from Italy. You can get foreign language cards, which sometimes are going to be cheaper, so if you're somebody who enjoys that and you're looking for those foreign language foils, definitely check out cardtrader.com. And as always, before we jump into the deck list, got to give a big shout out to the patrons for making giveaways on the channel possible. We did just hit 3,000 subscribers, so if you're taking the time to comment on this video or a few of the upcoming videos, it is going to get you entered to win a booster box of Reign of Jafar. So if you want to win some new cards, definitely check out that entirely free giveaway just by commenting on these videos. We'll have more details coming soon. But let's go ahead and jump into today's deck list, Amber Steel Aggro. Now this is something I've been working on for a bit. It's something that other people have clearly also been working on because similar deck lists have popped up. Definitely doing a few things differently, so stick around to see how I'm playing the list and some of the choices that I made. So first up, this is going to immediately differ from some of the lists that we've seen out there, which are less focused on playing Daisy Duck and are maybe playing 2 of them or not playing them at all. We are running 4 Daisy Ducks. I think she's really good. We're going way more aggro with this list. So Daisy Duck, Donald State, a 1-cost uninkable 1/4 stat line questing for 2, and when she quests, you're going to go ahead and make your opponent reveal the top card of their deck. If it's a character, they're going to get to draw it into their hand, so you're potentially giving your opponent some additional card draw. However, with Daisy Duck, there is the potential you're going to hit non-character cards on the top of their deck and ship them to the bottom, and they may be cards that they need, like in that Steel Song matchup, things like A Whole New World, or when you're playing against Ruby, definitely those be prepared. Next up, a card that I think is on everybody's radar right now. This card is fantastic. It is almost borderline broken, and that is going to be RHINO 1/16 Wolf, a 1-cost inkable 1/2 stat line, and moreover it's the shift that makes him really broken. This card by itself is not broken, but he is a 1/2 stat line questing for 1, and when you play this character, chosen opposing characters gain -1 strength until the start of your next turn, which is still a pretty solid ability. Then last up in the 1-cost slot, we are on 4 Cinderella Ballroom Sensation, a 1-cost inkable 1/2 stat line questing for 1 with Singer 3. She's just going to be here to sing those songs, and if you're in a match where that maybe not a favorable play to put her down and wait a turn to sing a song, sometimes you just anchor. As you can see, immediately we are playing 12 1-drops as opposed to some of the lists which are more on 10 1-drops, 9 1-drops. But I think 12 1-drops is the place to be when you're going more aggro with it. Another card that I think is great in the aggro version of this list is going to be Calhoun Marine Sergeant, a 2-cost uninkable 3/2 stat line questing for 1 with Resist 1. Resist is so good. It is a steel meta. It has been a steel meta. Resist continues to be really good. Not only that, she's a 3/2 stat line, so if you're playing in a Ruby and they're running things like Brawl or that big Sisu, they are not going to be effective against Calhoun unless they're giving her -strength, which they might be. They might be on that list. And during your turn, whenever this character banishes another character in a challenge, you're going to gain 2 lore. So obviously you want to be getting her down and using her to banish characters as opposed to questing, but she can quest when it may be relevant if the board is clear already. Next up, we are on 4 Mr. Smee Bumbling Mate, a 2-cost inkable 3/3 stat line questing for 2, and at the end of your turn, if this character is exerted and you don't have a captain character in play, he's going to go ahead and deal 1 damage to himself, but that's not always a bad thing. That's going to be something we can potentially take advantage of, actually a couple different ways with the version of the list that we've built. Next up, we are on 4 Jim Deere. This is a card that I'm not seeing people play so much. I think this card is really, really good. It's not necessarily something you're looking to play on 2, but this is a Lady in the Tramp card. Play it with Lady. If you're running a 3 Lady build, going Lady Jim Deere on turn 3 is gross. He is a 2-cost inkable 0/4 stat line questing for 1, and he does have bodyguard, so he's going to protect that field. So think like you go turn 1 Daisy, turn 2 Calhoun, turn 3 Lady, spoiler alert, we're getting there into the ladies, we'll talk about her more later, and Jim Deere, and all of a sudden you have a bodyguard protecting those characters you played on the first 2 turns, questing in or challenging things, Calhoun, Smee, whatever it may have been. Not necessarily where you want to be on 2, but later in the game, very good 2-drop in Doc Bold Knight, a 2-cost uninkable 1/3 stat line, questing for 1. With when you play this character, you may discard your hand to draw 2 cards. Obviously, you don't want to do that when you have a big grip of cards in your hand, but when you are running out of cards, or you have a card that you don't need as the only other card that's remaining, or something you can't just ink, Doc is a great way to get a couple new cards and continue to put the pressure on your opponent. Another card that is great to put the pressure on your opponent, and another example of a card that you don't necessarily want to be playing on 2, even though it is a 2-drop, we have Rapunzel's Tower, Secluded Prison, a 2-cost inkable location, 1 to move in, 8 willpower, super good for 2 cost, and characters that are located here are going to get +3 willpower also. So this is something you do want to be playing probably on turn 4 or 5, and then immediately moving some characters into it to give them that boost to their willpower. Even at that time in the game, your opponent's probably going to have a tough time dealing with this and also dealing with your characters, so you're going to have to be making that choice. Do they want to try to challenge into your characters, or do they want to take out the tower, weaken your characters so they can take them out the following turn? But either way, it's not an exciting proposition for your opponent if you're already at a fairly high lore count. Next up, a card that I obviously mentioned earlier in the video, in Lady Family Dog, a 3-cost inkable 2/2 stat line, questing for 2. I think this is honestly one of the best cards to come out of Reign of the Jafar, and the reason that I say that is there is a ton of incredibly good 2-drops across multiple colors, so I think she really fits in to any deck that you're playing Amber in. If you're playing anything Amber with an aggressive strategy, Lady can be incredibly good, and she is a 3-cost inkable 2/2 stat line, questing for 2. So her stat line, not great. The quest to ink cost ratio, not bad at all. And when you play this character, you may play a character with cost 2 or less for free. Just lets you be incredibly aggressive. Obviously, we do have 16 2-drops in this deck to take advantage of Lady's abilities. So even if you're going into those later turns and you have something like Lady and Doc in your hand, well, you got Lady, Doc, draw 2 cards, and potentially still have ink open to continue to fuel that board. It's just super aggressive. Lady is really good. Card that we reduced the count on compared to other lists. We've seen definitely a lot of lists play 4-Pete, and I think 4-Pete is fine. I think there's times where you just don't need Pete anymore. If you're going into the later game and you draw Pete, a lot of times he's kind of a dead card. Your opponent may be out of actions by that point or have no cards in their hand at all, and so you're paying 3 for a 3/3 that quests for 1 at that point. So I think Pete is really good, don't get me wrong. I think he's still one of the best cards in Steel. He's definitely something you should play. I don't think you always need 4 of them, particularly if you're not in a color combination where you're looking to shift him. But he's a 3-cost inkable 3/3 stat line, questing for 1, and when you play this character, opponents can't play actions until the start of your next turn, so it's going to shut down actions for a full rotation. But like I said, in those later turns, maybe not something you need. You definitely also don't want them in the super early turns. You're looking for them in kind of the middle turns is where Pete really shines. And it just makes them kind of awkward sometimes. Also in the 3-cost slot, moving over to actions, we are on 4 Strength of a Raging Fire, a 3-cost inkable action song with deal damage to chosen character equal to the number of characters you have in play. So obviously this deck is all about flooding characters to the board. That can make this card incredibly aggressive. You have some solid 3-cost characters in addition to those Cinderellas to go ahead and let you sing these Strength of a Raging Fire. Not to mention the characters who cost more than 3. Next up, we are on 4 Let the Storm Rage On, a 3-cost uninkable this time action song. Deal 2 damage to chosen character and draw cards. So it's going to continue to fuel your hand and continue to control what your opponent has on their side of the board. Ward, I feel like, has become less relevant. There was a lot more ward happening last set, and that was making some direct removal a little bit awkward. But this set, I feel like less people are doing that. More people are doing like evasive and stuff, and direct removal is actually super good into those decks. So that's where your strength and Storm Rage On is really going to shine in a lot of matchups. So you don't necessarily want to be rushing it to the board, but if you have those Cindy's, it is a good way to control the early game also. And jumping over to the 4-cost slot, we are on 2 Goofy Groundbreaking Chef, a 4-cost inkable 3/4 stat line questing for 2, with at the end of your turn you may remove up to 1 damage from each of your other characters. Ready each character you removed damage from this way. Obviously he is incredibly good with Smee. Smee says at the end of your turn, if he is exerted, you put a damage on him. If it is your turn, you are going to choose how those things enter and exit the bag. So you can put the damage on Smee, then remove the damage with Goofy, and then ready him. Obviously he's also really good just for healing anything else in the deck. He becomes really good with the next card that we're going to talk about for a variety of reasons. We have a lot of high willpower characters, and Rapunzel's Tower just further pushes that home with increasing their willpower even further. So there's a lot of instances where you're probably going to have characters with some damage on them exerting, getting healed by Goofy, and readying back up. Speaking of that next card, we're on 4 RHINO Power Hamster, a 4-cost inkable 4/3 stat line questing for 2. He is going to be shifting for 2, so potentially coming down very early in the game, and a great additional way to sing some of those songs. And while this character has no damage, he gains resist +2, so that makes him essentially a 5 willpower stat line for your opponent to try to remove in one shot. So obviously he goes down to things like Along Came Zeus, but he is going to survive through a lot of other things, so it makes RHINO pretty freaking effective. Not to mention, if he is taking damage and you have those Goofies in play, you can go ahead and quest with him, and then if he has damage on him, ready him up, remove the damage with Goofy, and if you're healing him back to full, he goes back to having resist again. So RHINO, really super. Last card in the 4-cost slot, we're on 4 Rapunzel, gifted with healing, a 4-cost inkable 1/5 stat line questing for 2, with when you play this character, remove up to 3 damage from one of your characters, draw a card for each 1 damage removed this way. I know I hear it from people all the time. I don't have Rapunzels, I'm not going to buy Rapunzels, especially now with rotation happening. If you don't want to play the Rapunzels and you want to try to run this deck list, bring the cost down quite significantly, one of the cards I always recommend, and I still think it is the best place to be. I've heard some alternative suggestions, and there are some neat ones like Invited to the Ball, but what I would recommend is Julietta Madrigal. Julietta Madrigal is essentially going to do the same ability as Rapunzel, but she's only going to cost 3. She's still going to be a 1/4 stat line. She only quests for 1 instead of 2, so that is going to be significantly reduced, and she's going to heal for 2, so almost the same amount of healing, but she's only going to draw you 1 card total, so significantly less draw. Makes her not as good. If you have the Rapunzels, play the Rapunzels. If you have 1 Rapunzel, play 1 Rapunzel and 3 Juliettas if you're looking for the alternative. Obviously it does make her a pretty good singer as well, so Julietta Madrigal is not a bad place to be in this deck, but if you have the Rapunzels, obviously play the Rapunzels. And next up, this is another card you could potentially alternate out, but a card that I think is in a super good position in this deck list. A lot of people are going to be trying to reuse their direct removal to deal with some of your earlier threats, leaving them potentially without any way to directly damage something like Beast, Tragic Hero when it comes to turn 5 or 6 when you're trying to get him down on the board and get some additional card draw. But we have in the 5 draw cost slot and the last card in the deck, Beast, Tragic Hero, a 5-cost inkable 3/5 stat line questing for 2, shifting for 3, not relevant as we don't have a shift target. And at the start of your turn, if this character has no damage, you are going to draw a card, so you get an additional card draw each turn, and otherwise he gets +4 strength. So otherwise meaning if he has damage on him, he's going to get +4 strength. Makes him a great way to deal with some of those bigger threats as well as those high willpower locations if that's something you're going up against. So Beast is a very versatile card still in this meta. His 3/5 stat line keeps him out of the range of Brawl and Big Sisu without having his strength reduced, and in matchups where he is not as good, he maybe just goes into your Inkwell and you focus on the more aggro strategy. Like I mentioned, you could alternate him out if you're looking for something that's going to serve a similar purpose in the deck. You could play 3 Lawrence instead of 3 Beast. Lawrence, Jealous Manservant, a 3-cost inkable 4/4 stat line essentially, and if he has damage on him, he becomes a 0/4 stat line. So it's kind of a similar idea where somebody's likely going to target Beast with their direct removal or their direct damage if they have it available, just to go ahead and shut off his ability to draw. Somebody may do something similar to Lawrence to go ahead and take away his strength. Lawrence does cost less, so it brings the deck lower to the ground if you're playing like Lawrence and Julietta. Julietta also combines really well with Lawrence, so if you're trying to make a more cost efficient version of that deck, I think cutting out the Beasts and the Rapunzels brings the total deck list down by like $250 from like just over $400 to $170, $180, so a lot more affordable deck list. Obviously still got some fairly expensive cards in here. Ladies are no slouch. The Daisy Duck Donald's Dates I think are $7 or $8 a piece right now. So you definitely have some cards in the deck that are going to cost you some money, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on this deck list in the comments below. Are you playing an Amber Steel RHINO deck right now? I know it's a very popular deck list. Have you subbed in some of these cards that I'm talking about? Are you playing a more budget friendly version of the deck? Do you have the Rapunzels? Let me know what you're thinking in the comments, and when you comment you'll go ahead and get entered automatically into that upcoming giveaway, so that's a pretty good reason to join the conversation. As always, when you see those toys, video games, and those super cute little lady dogs off in the distance, remember, it is not a mirage. You guys have a great day.